Welcome to People Who Inspire. I'm your host, Mary Drelizak. We have three inspiring women with us today. One of them is 17-year-old Finley Pletcher, a gifted high school junior whose rare congenital condition is causing her to lose her eyesight. Joining Finley are her grandparents, Phyllis and Ted Koval from Connellsville, as well as Finley's mom, Connellsville native Jennifer Pletcher. Let's go meet them. So Jennifer, let's start with you. You know, you grew up in Connellsville, went to Connellsville High School, met your husband there. Tell us a little bit about that and where you live now.
Okay, so yes, I did grow up in Connellsville. I was born and raised there. I stayed there until I went off to college. I met, Matthew, my husband, in high school. I was a sophomore, he was a junior. We met in the High School Musical and started dating. And so, yes, Matthew is also a Connellsvillian. And and then we went off to separate colleges, and now we live in Littleton, Massachusetts. This is our 9th stop along our 26 years of marriage journey, but I think we finally found our stopping place.
You have other children as well, right?
Yes, I do. I have Arlington as my eldest. She just turned 21. And then I have Kanan, who is about to turn 18, and then Finley, who is 17.
So could you describe for us, if you could, Finley's condition? What is it called? And just talk to us a little bit about what that is, if you could.
Sure. So Finley's condition is called Leber's Congenital Amaurosis. She has a specific gene affected, which is called the RDH12 gene. There are lots of different types of Lebers, but they are all basically childhood blinding diseases. And so Finley just has one particular type. There are a couple thousand people in the world that have it. It had to come both from Matt and myself. We both had to have the problem on our gene and pass it to Finley. She had a 25% chance of getting the disorder. Our eldest does not have it. And our second born is adopted, so he doesn't have it either. But yeah, so it is just a genetic condition. But like I said, in these particular things, they all start in childhood, and they all have to come from both parents.
Very good. And what I find interesting too is that your husband works in this research, doesn't he? That's his work. That's his field of work. Just speak just briefly about that.
Sure. So yeah, he has his PhD in human genetics, and he has always been in rare disease. Even prior to when Finley was diagnosed, he was a rare disease geneticist. So it has been very helpful because he speaks the lingo to have him helping us out, figuring us all out.
Really, what are the chances? God knew, really. So, all right. And so Phyllis, we have Phyllis and Ted, the grandparents of Finley and the parents of Jennifer. So happy that you're here from Connellsville, very active in Connellsville. Phyllis, you brought awareness to our community about LCA through events that you've had to raise awareness and raise funds for research. Could you tell us a little bit about how Connellsville has supported this effort?
When Finley was diagnosed, one of the first things that Jennifer suggested was, let's go to Connellsville and do a couple fundraisers. We did one of the first ones that we did when Finley was only 3 years old. I was teaching at the high school, and the students at the high school got behind us unbelievably. It was homecoming, and they sold chain links for Finley and started to raise all this money. She wrote in one of the homecoming floats. It's one of our best memories because I remember standing up at the homecoming assembly, and they wanted to introduce Finley, and I was actually holding her because she was only 3, and saying to those kids that day, you have done an unbelievable job of raising money, and someday we are going to come back to you and say, look what you helped us do, because you helped us towards not only stopping the progression for Finley, but for all the other children and people that are affected by RDH12 or LCA in general. And here we are, 20 some years later and getting closer and closer to that. But from that, we have done multiple fundraisers. We have done casino bus trips. We have done races. On the trail, we've done huge events in York Park with basket raffles and things like that. We did a couple golf ball drops. We just recently did a virtual race. We have never, ever gone to Connellsville and said, we are going to do an event for Finley and not have had unbelievable support from the community. And I can't tell you how many people, even people that we don't even know that well, will come up to us. And as soon as we say our names, Finley's grandparents, how is she? The latest news. That's how much Connellsville supported us. And I don't know if you'd like to speak to that also.
I've always said that we've been adopted by the community. And my favorite saying is, if I hear one more person say bad things about Connellsville, I'm going to slap them silly.
That's right. It's a very special place. You can't find such support anywhere. It's just wonderful. Yeah. And you have certainly done your part. We could do an entire episode on what you two have done in our community, through the bike trail, through the Great Allegheny Passage, through the Lions Club, and so many things that you do. But it's so wonderful to know that Connellsville has supported these events and raised awareness. And Finley's famous in Connellsville.
That's right.
Finley's grandmother. When you're Finley's grandmother, that's
the title.
okay. We'll take it. That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. So Finley, so I know it was back in 2017 that the Connellsville middle school students got to meet you, and it was through your grandfather, right here, Ted, who helped wire us up there. Being a former teacher, but he was also really awesome in technology, hooked us up to be able to talk to you via Zoom during the Stand Up and Choose tour, an assembly tour that I had hosted at Connellsville Middle School. And there you were on the auditorium screen talking to students. And at the time you were living in Switzerland. Just like your mom said, you guys have been in different places. Well, Switzerland was one of them. And you were one by one, the kids were able to come up to the mic and ask you and talk to you as you shared with them what it was like to navigate your life through Switzerland. You were 12 years old at the time, so you were really talking to your peers. And you were talking to them about how your classes were being taught in German, and how you were riding the tram all by yourself to school, and how one day you missed the stop going to school, and just really how you handled that, and was just so inspiring. So you really did inspire 1,000 of your peers that day just by being there, through the efforts of your grandfather getting you on Zoom and speaking in that assembly. So in the meantime, while this is happening, while research is being done and, they're trying to find a cure for LCA, you're not letting the grass grow under your feet. That's for sure. You're busier than ever with school and activities and travel. So if we could, I'd like to talk to you about some of these things. So school, and I counted 7 different clubs that you belong to currently, and maybe it's even more than that, I don't know, but 7 different clubs. And among them are, and you can see what your interests really, really are the STEM Club and the Environmental Service Club. Can you tell us what you're even working on through them, your community trails, just like your grandfather? Boy, the apple doesn't fall from the tree. And your grandmother. But tell us more about what you're doing through the STEM Club and the Environmental Service Club for your community.
I'm working with our town's Littleton Conservation Fund and the Littleton Conservation Trust to basically get my people in my club more excited about we have a really big mustard problem, and so we constantly have to pull them every single year. So we've just been trying to get them more active in our community and be more aware of the protected lands in our community, and also going in there and removing invasive species, because there is quite a few. We have a pretty big problem.
Yeah, share me just with a little bit about that, because here in Connellsville we don't have a mustard problem, do we, Teddy Bear? No, we don't.
Most
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Tell us, if you could, just a little bit about what that looks like and what that means to the community and how invasive that is and what kind of problem that would be.
It's like most invasive species where it's taking up resources and just like available space for other natural plants. And it's basically taking away that space, and then all of our natural like bees are going extinct because they don't have any like their natural plants to feed on, because all of these invasive species are taking up that space, and it like wrecks the ecosystem. So being able to pull them and then replant natural species allows the ecosystem to regrow, and then allows like species like the bees to come back.
Very good. Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. You've in your science fair project also impacted your community. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Was it the same project, or was it something different?
I know we did water quality in our town. We were trying to see, because we have a lot of marshland, so we were trying to see if any pollutants from those marshes were getting into people's well water. Um, and like, though we didn't find any statistical significance, there were still pollutants found in the well water. So obviously, further research could be done to figure out like if it's coming from soil.
Okay, very nice. All right. Well, your love for environmental sustainability was taken to a whole new level last summer. I understand that you took a trip alone, a 15-hour plane ride to Kenya, I believe it was, alone, on a humanitarian mission. So could you share with us what that experience was?
So I spent 2 weeks in Kenya on a conservancy, and I got to work alongside the workers there, and we surveyed animals, and like checked them to make sure like everything was looking good. Like we would take pictures of them and then go back to the conservancy and use documented like pictures of the giraffes, and we would have to go and look at their patterns on the backs to see which one was which, and just to see if they were still alive and well. And then we also pulled a bunch of invasive species. We did trash cleanup on the sides of roads. We built stoves for impoverished people, because they were going onto the conservancy to get wood for their fires. So we made eco stoves so they didn't have to use as much wood, and it was also gonna allow the women to go to school, because they didn't have to spend as much time cooking, and the amount of carbon dioxide and like smoke would be decreased that they're inhaling.
Wow. What did you call it, an eco stove?
It's an eco stove.
Yeah, what does it look like?
It's hard to describe, but they're really low to the ground. We had to mix all the concrete and the bricks by hand. It was a really long process, but it was definitely really rewarding, because like we got to actually talk with a lot of the families there, and it was just like nice to help the community, and also know that we were also saving the trees in the conservancy as well.
That's wonderful. So you got to know the people that you were helping. Tell me just a little bit about like what were they like, and how perhaps I'd imagine appreciative they were. What was your takeaway from meeting them?
It's just like, it was really lovely. Like a lot of things, like as soon as we like came there, they told us that we should never pity them, and that we're not here to like look it down at them and say like, oh, I'm so sorry for the life you're living, because the thing about people in Kenya is that they're incredibly happy. Like everyone there is just really happy to just have what they have, and like because they don't know any different. So like they were all incredibly kind. Like when we were making the stoves, they brought us like fruit, and like it was really lovely. Like we got to paint doors at like a school, and it was just really fun to like get to play with the kids, and to like they like to show us like their drawings, and like we taught them a little English. It was fun.
Oh, that's awesome. What an amazing experience. 2 weeks alone in Kenya.
Yeah.
Okay. That's,
I know. Okay.
that's amazing. That's amazing. And there's another trip planned. Where are you going next?
I'm going to Costa Rica to do a program called Women in STEM. It's more academic than Kenya, where we really learn and get to talk with other women in the community, because Costa Rica is known for its sustainability. It's like yards beyond everybody else. So it would be really awesome to get to talk to really important like women who are driving this in Costa Rica.
That's wonderful. When is that? This coming up this summer?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, and I know that you have volunteer things that you do as well. And so caring for animals is among them. And you work at an animal shelter. You volunteer at an animal shelter. What do you do there?
Usually I just clean out the cages for the cats. I spend quality time with them just to make them feel more comfortable, because they come from like all sorts of things, like maybe their owner got sick or they had to move away, or they're just like they were found on the street. So some of them are more scared than others. So it's always really rewarding when you like make them feel more comfortable, because it's always really sad to see them like get walked past because they're a little bit more shy. But I feed the guinea pigs and I play with the rodents, and I just pet the cats.
Okay, back up for a second now. Okay. When we think of animal shelters in Connellsville, we think of dogs, cats. Maybe there's a rabbit in there. What kind of animals are we talking about here?
So we have a bunch. We have bunnies, and I just recently got to play with a ferret. That was really exciting. They're really cute.
But you mentioned rodents.
Yeah, we have mice, we have hamsters, and my favorite are the rats.
Oh no!
Because
Like
they're
the
really okay. They're really, really intelligent, and they're really sweet, and I really like them just because they also don't have great eyesight, but they're really cute, and they love being held, and they love eating Cheerios, and I love them because they're absolutely adorable. And
Awesome.
yeah, we have bunnies, and we sometimes get birds. But I usually take care of the cats mostly. But
Finley, I don't think Mom's letting you adopt one of those rats. No matter.
I've tried.
She has tried. It is a big no.
That is truly amazing. And I understand, speaking of Finley's mom, that at home you have chickens that you're taking care of. So you have a crew at home. Or like, what is there, like a half a dozen or more? I don't know how many chickens you have.
We have 6 chickens.
Yes. Okay. So this is a daily thing here for you. This is awesome. And that you like rats. I think that is amazing. You are so special. You are.
That's the word.
You are. It really speaks to your heart, Finley. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's amazing. Well, I'm so impressed with that, let me tell you. But so I know too that in your spare time, when you have spare time between your school activities and everything, let's see, you ice skate, you take yoga classes, and you're an artist. I understand you're working on 15 projects for an advanced placement art that you do, portfolio that you're doing, and that you sell your art at these Comic Con conventions, kind of like comic kind of a thing. If our viewers aren't aware of what a Comic Con is, could you share a little bit about your art? What kind of art do you do in both of those settings, in school and at the Comic Con conventions?
I usually for my AP art, you have to choose a specific topic that you want to follow, and it's really interesting because I like watching all of the other people in my class explore different ideas. Like I have this one person who I really like her art. She's doing her life, but as an ant. And I think it's really fun because she like has a picture of like her and her brother, but they're larvae, and I think it's adorable. Yeah. And then for Comic-Con, usually I just draw like characters from like shows that I enjoy. And then yeah, that's it.
Well, that is a gift. That truly is a gift. And you really, your imagination and what you can do with that. So, and you sell your art on Etsy too, do you? Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Well, that's amazing. So we're grateful to hear a little bit about that. And you also, did a couple polar bear plunges. We have that in Connellsville. We do, right? But so tell me about that. And I'm always so impressed with the people that jump in the cold river in January. And tell me a little bit about that. And as far as that goes.
Yeah, so it's for the Special Olympics. Actually, there's one this Saturday. So ended up coming at a perfect time. But
Yes.
I've done it every year since freshman year. My first year, I did it alone because I couldn't get any of my friends to get in the cold water with me.
What made you? Yeah, your grandfather would have gone, right? Would you have gone with her? No. How about you, Phyllis?
I'm a hot tub person.
I would cheer from the side.
Absolutely. And mom too, huh? So why you? Why did you say, hey, I don't care if you guys don't want to go, I'm going anyhow? Why?
I really liked the person who was running the Humanitarian Club. Her name was Mrs. Harvey. She's really beloved in our community because she's known for doing outstanding community service. Even now that she's retired, she never stops. She's still going and she still works really hard. And I really liked her passion, and it made me passionate. And yeah, I continue to do it.
That's wonderful. What a wonderful. She inspired you. You're also a Special Olympics athlete, I understand. Are you?
Not really.
The bowling. Well, it's like unified. Yeah,
Yes.
The unified bowling.
Unified bowling. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, listen, I went bowling a few weeks ago for the first time in decades. And that didn't go well.
Yes.
So really appreciate that too. So tell me, what's your, do you have a career goal? So you're 17, are you a senior this year or next year?
Next year.
Next year. Okay, so you're a junior now. Do you know what you might want to do when you graduate?
Yeah, I want to go to college, preferably a smaller liberal college or liberal arts college. And then I want to major in environmental science and policy, and maybe minor in humanities.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So Jennifer, I'm going to ask you a question. So Finley is extraordinary, as you and your mom and your father are too. So beyond her academic and environmental endeavors, there's a courage and a determination about Finley that is remarkable. So can you speak to that, knowing your daughter?
Sure. Yeah. Yes, sure. Yes. So no, Finley is, has always been one to say to us that we're not going to stop her from doing it. Like going to Kenya or taking the tram by herself, or even some of these, activities such as she ice skates. My immediate thought would be, no way.
Right.
But Finley has always been one to just prove us wrong. And so because she can do all of these things, when she was 3 and she was diagnosed, we were like, great. My mom can tell you. I said, she's going to live with us forever. And I'm sure at the time we were just completely lost. But now that she is almost 18 years old, she has traveled by herself. She has, lived abroad. She goes in and out of Boston with her friends. She is completely independent of us. That now I wish I could tell myself back then that she was going to be fine.
Yes. Well,
she is. She's more than fine.
That's right.
She doesn't need me.
Well, I know her family has so much to do with that too, and she's so strong. So we don't mind us talking about you, Finley, for a minute.
She does very much.
You just don't mind us. We're going to talk about you.
No.
So Phil, as I mentioned, we could do an episode on you and your husband as well. And Jennifer, you're cut from the same cloth, and so is Finley. So Phil is beyond or Ted, beyond genetics. What do you think makes Finley so strong or to be such a doer that she is?
I absolutely can tell you the answer to that is her parents. She had when I'll never forget. I was with Jennifer when Finley was diagnosed, and it was either that day or shortly after. No, it was probably that day. And when Jennifer got the diagnosis, Jennifer saying to the doctor that day, the specialist, tell us what we can do to make sure that she has the best life she can possibly have. And that's what they've done. They never let anything stop Finley. If she wanted to do it, sure, go ahead. That takes strength from a parent. I don't care whether the child is visually handicapped or whatever. Anytime as a parent, it's always hard to say, let that rein go and say, go ahead, you'll be all right. But because Jennifer and Matt were willing to do that, regardless of what they were concerned about with Finley's vision, Finley then thinks she can do it. And she can. She can. So that's the reason. Would you agree to that?
Well, I'm going to tell a story. I'm sure I'm going to embarrass Finley, but I can remember the story Jennifer told us when she was 3, maybe 4. It was a very cold day, and I think they were in Connecticut.
Still Connecticut, yeah.
And she was getting ready to go to preschool or someplace, and Jennifer laid out her clothes out on the bed, and it was a pair of slacks and a top and stuff like that. And Finley always loved to wear dresses all the time. She wanted to wear a dress. Well, you can't wear a dress, it's cold. So she goes back downstairs to get something. Pretty soon, she comes back down and she just has her underwear. She says, I'm not going to school. I want her dress. She says, get upstairs and get her, So she's up there and she's rumbling around. Pretty soon she comes down, she has a dress on. And Jennifer says, I hung all her dresses up real high. How in the heck did she get? So she goes upstairs and she had pulled out her hamper, piled up all the pillows on her bed, and got her dress down and put it on.
But that's the determination.
And 100% Finley.
There it is. There was no doubt that was going to continue for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
For sure. And yes, and she has really proven that over all of this. And even as we visit colleges and speak to the disability offices and see the campuses, and I bring up X, Y, and Z, I always just usually get an eye roll. I'm like, this is not a problem. That is her attitude. And so we're trying to adopt it.
That's awesome. We could all be more like Finley. Oh my gosh. Well, I just want to thank all of you. It was such a pleasure to be able to spend some time with you and to get to know Finley a little bit more and to share her story and how you all play a role in it and in all that you do. So it was so much fun. So that we're just excited for what's ahead for you, Finley. So thank you so much. Okay. All right. Finley was given a diagnosis at a young age in which she could have easily retreated. Instead, she moved forward, embracing every opportunity to go beyond the comfort of her space, to explore the world, and to make a difference along the way. She may have a diagnosis that's causing her blindness, but Finley's vision of what her life is and will be is crystal clear. So often we let challenges hold us back from being all that we're meant to become. If that's you right now, let Finley be your inspiration to see beyond your circumstances and to use your gifts for good. Thanks so much for being with us.